today's 1 p.m. stand-up on Tuesday the 7th of February. I'm Rachel Callagher, the Deputy Controller at the moment for our flood response. Today I'm joined by Deputy Mayor Desley Simpson and also Local Board Services Operations Manager Oliver Roberts, and I will pass to them a wee bit later on in our briefing. Just to start off though, as I have tended to do over the last couple of days, just a quick update from our colleagues at Met Service around what we can expect and by the way of weather in Auckland over the next couple of days. So Met Service is forecasting a settled run for the Auckland region this week, apart from the odd passing light shower on Wednesday and Friday. There are no severe weather watches or warnings in force or likely to be issued between now and midnight Friday. Met Service is keeping an eye on the developing weather system and its potential impact on New Zealand that could come down from the north. And we will be in regular communication with them throughout the course of the week and will provide updates, of course, as more information comes to hand around that. Just again wanting to just check in with you all around the management of flood damaged items. So we are aware that there are still large amounts of flood damaged items to be collected. Our teams are working at pace to get these items collected as quickly as possible, and we really thank everybody for patience at this time. If you're unable to take your waste to a transfer station, please leave your flood damaged items at the curbside to be collected. It's really important if you're doing that you make sure it's well contained and it's not going to sort of blow away or get into the stormwater network. So just thinking about how you're placing it out and managing that really carefully would be appreciated. A reminder to please also take care as you remove that material from your home, because as we've talked about over the last few days, that material will have been contaminated if it's come into contact with floodwaters. So really, really important that you maintain good levels of hygiene, particularly washing after being in contact. Our transfer stations remain extremely busy. As you'll appreciate over the weather with the good weekend, lots of people were doing cleanup. So there were lots of people coming in to drop off waste at the various transfer stations across the region, and there were queues in places at times. So we'd really just request that people be considerate of each other and also of our staff who are working really hard to get people through these sites as quickly and as safely as possible. Moving on now to our rapid assessment update. As of just before 1 p.m. today, as I came across, we had 276 homes or buildings with red placards or stickers and 1,590 homes or buildings with yellow placards or stickers. 2,511 homes or buildings have white placards or stickers. If you feel your property requires an inspection and you haven't had someone come to visit your place at this point in time, then please call Auckland Council on 0800 22 2200 to request one. There are currently 20 roads now closed around Auckland, and Auckland Transport continues to urge Aucklanders to take caution on the road. Most bus services are operating, including rail replacements. Due to the severe weather conditions, further last-minute cancellations could occur. So that's just in the event that we did have further bad weather, there could be changes to the schedule. So again, just making sure you're checking before you travel. Due to road closures and detours, some journey times may be longer. And again, we have had multiple slips on Auckland's train network, so Kiwi Rail, the track maintainer, are working hard to carry out urgent repairs. Due to the work on the tracks, train speeds are restricted in some places, which will mean, again, longer journey times. Please keep up to date on road closures and public transport more generally at www.at.govt.nz. Now, you will be seeing less of me over the coming week, but we will be continuing to provide updates from our Auckland Emergency Management team. But I'm now going to hand over to Deputy Mayor Desley Simpson to provide updates on the recovery and our clean-up efforts. Thanks, Desley.
Kia ora, thank you, Rachel. Good afternoon. Since record rainfall hit the region, it has been incredible to see the energy, generosity and drive of Aucklanders out in the community. The outpouring of help and support has been overwhelming. Whether it has been helping people escape danger, giving donations, clearing drains, blockages, or offering shelter and support, the region has really stepped up to meet the challenges of an unprecedented rainfall and associated flooding and slips. Alongside council staff, local board members, the mayor, councillors, and our many volunteer networks, we also have a number of external agencies such as the New Zealand Defence Force assisting. We even have staff from the IRD. They say they are here to help, and they have been. Our active volunteer groups, individuals and families who are already rolling up their sleeves and getting stuck in, thank you. We know there is a real passion to come together and help the city recover. Although Aucklanders began cleaning up pretty much straight after the first downpour 12 days ago, there is still a lot of work to be done. We continue to have homes with flood-damaged furnishings, families who need support, rubbish, debris on our streets, beaches and parks that need clearing. Rachel has already outlined the work that council and government agencies have been doing over the long weekend. Thanks again, Rachel. However, what today is about is to support all this amazing work that is already underway and add to the wonderful work of our specialist teams. Our message to Aucklanders is simple. If you need help, please ask. You may not be accustomed to asking, but there is help available to you should you need it. There are people, groups and agencies across the region who are available. You do not need to face this on your own. Our message to those who want to help, whether in a volunteer capacity or with financial help if you're available, then please contact us on 0800 Cleanup. And I thank those in advance for your help. The cleanup of Auckland will not be easy. It will take some time and it will be ongoing. The big fix-up, which the Mayor will lead, will take even longer and lead us into a more resilient place for the future. More on that later. But right now, I'll hand over to Oliver, who'll provide more details about our big cleanup. Thank you. Oliver.
Kia ora koutou, ngā mihi nui, ko Oliver Roberts aho. I am here helping as part of the support we're giving our amazing voluntary and community groups at this time. So as Desley says, the response from volunteers has been absolutely overwhelming. In fact, one of our major challenges right now is ensuring that all those people who want to help can do so safely. The slips, unstable ground and contamination mean that many of the challenges need to be dealt with by Auckland Emergency Management, NZDF and partner agencies. So the first message, as Desley has said, is for those who need help, please reach out. If it's urgent, call the Auckland Emergency Management Helpline. That's the same one people have been using since the storm began. That is 0800 22 2200. If it's not urgent, but you could really do with a hand, the Student Volunteer Army has stepped up to take those details. That's alongside the great work that they're already doing directly in communities. So they can be contacted online or on 0800 400 100. That's 0800 400 100. And a huge thanks to them for that mahi. And again, that's if it's not urgent, but you could really do with a hand at this. And you can also reach out directly to community and support groups in your area. We're also doing what we can to reach out to people who might not know what help is available. There are crews of 200 people made up of council staff and volunteers who are out in impacted areas today and all this week, knocking on doors to find out what's needed. We're coordinating with local groups who are already active as part of that, our job being to bolster the great work that those groups are already doing. These crews will be talking to households about what they need, whether it's expert help, including welfare support, or if it's major damage, or whether it's something that volunteer crews can safely step in and take on. And they'll have fact sheets in a range of languages saying what steps people can take themselves and where help is available. The second message is for those who want to help. Now, as it's been said, there has been incredible work by volunteer groups, community, religious and sporting groups, marae, and individuals across Auckland. Just some examples. Last Saturday, over 50 volunteers were supporting families in flood-damaged homes in Mangere, clearing goods, filling skips, giving a general helping hand, and in many cases, even just being someone to talk to. A big thanks to all those involved: Butterbean Motivation, Aotearoa Tongan Relief, the LDS Church, I Am Mangere, Student Volunteer Army, and other groups and individuals from across Auckland, and to our elected members for their work with those groups to organise the cleanup. 2 days later, that is yesterday, a second drive was held, and this time the number of volunteers had doubled. They were operating from Mangare's Moana Nui Kiwa Leisure Centre, where at the same time over 100 volunteers from community and church groups have been sorting through donations. Thousands of people have been there able to get essential goods. Another example, on Sunday, the Student Volunteer Army had 200 people going door to door in Ranui, identifying what support people needed. They will have other groups of volunteers following up to provide that support. In Puketapapa, a major drive helped flood-hit households clear goods, and there will be another drive in the area this coming weekend on Saturday the 11th of February where people can help out. And that's an example of the sort of event that we'll be giving details of over the coming weeks, where people can actually get involved. We're also going to be giving details of the companies who want to step up to provide equipment, food, or sponsorship to support the effort. Now, I need to repeat the caution that there are significant issues that need to be dealt with by experts with specialist skills. Where the work is dangerous, we need to leave the work to them. In the meantime, one of the most important things that people have been doing and can continue to do is please keep supporting friends and family. That generosity, whether it's a spare room or being someone to offload to about what you've been going through, has been so valuable. And also, every person who can get help from whānau means MSD and other groups can focus their welfare and support for those who can't access that support elsewhere. Local action has been critical too, as people have seen and just got on with jobs in their area, whether it's clearing paths or rubbish. Again, though, if it looks big, or if you think there may be any safety or contamination issues, please register it at 0800 22 2200 and stay clear. When there are beach and park cleanups that can be done safely, we'll be publicising them. This is a marathon, and not everything can be done right now. Please keep an eye on local community group websites and Facebook pages, as well as your local board's Facebook pages for those details as they come up. Volunteer Auckland has put together a fantastic resource where you can find lists of active groups and how to get in touch. That's whether you want to help or whether you need a helping hand right now. That's on their website at volunteeringauckland.org.nz, and we'll post that link on our Auckland. You'll also find details there for groups and locations where you can donate goods, clothing, bedding or food, noting that those needs are changing quickly in different areas, so it's great if you can check first what's needed. If you can't find to help, then you can call the number that Desley gave before, that is 0800 Cleanup, that is 0800 253 268. Please remember though that the call centre remains busy with thousands of calls a day, and there may be a delay in responding. So please try to access those details online if possible. The Auckland Emergency Management site is a good place to start. If you cannot physically help, but would like to provide financial support, you can of course donate to the Council's Emergency Relief Fund. Details are on the Our Auckland website, or you can email emergencyfund@aucklandcouncil.govt.nz. One last point, reiterating something I have said, please keep yourself safe. Stay away from flooded waters and streams. If parks or open spaces may have been contaminated with wastewater, then log it with water care. Keep clear of waste piles. Don't try to clear landslips yourself. Please report blocked roads to Auckland Transport or other slips to Auckland Council. And that's to Auckland Transport on 09 355 3553 or other slips to Auckland Council on 09 301 0101. Wear gloves and boots and don't take any unnecessary risks. If it's a big job, log it with the council and report a problem on our website. And you can check in with local groups, including your local board Facebook group, to see if there's already a plan to tackle that job and see if you can help out. Now I hand back to Desley.
So in closing, a lot of work is underway, but there is still much to be done. Aucklanders, if you need help, please ask. If you can help, please tell us. Either way, our job at Council is to support and bolster those efforts already in place. And finally, our commitment to Auckland is to make sure that you are supported in your recovery. We will get through this, just like we have with other challenges of recent years. And again, I thank all who are part of that. Thank you. Now back to you, Rachel.
Kia ora. Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Oliver. So as you can see, a real focus for coming days and weeks is going to be around supporting communities that need us to do the activities that will help make their places, streets, homes safer and more welcoming again. Just one of the things Oliver mentioned was for non-urgent requests for support, people could go through the Student Volunteer Army, and just a reminder that that can be done via their website directly. You don't need to come through the council for that. That can be done online via their website. And so that therein draws today's update to a close, but we can stay for a little bit if people have got any questions they want to ask.
Yeah, so we're seeing more beaches be deemed safe enough to swim at. When do you think beaches will be safe enough to swim at generally following last week's flooding?
Our initial estimation around sort of return to safe conditions was probably sometime mid this week. But the advice to Aucklanders in regards to whether they should be out swimming at a particular beach location is to keep an eye on the Safe Swim website. That will give up-to-date information around the condition of their local beach area. Not all of our coastal areas are covered by the Safe Swim site, so in those instances, taking a precautionary approach, perhaps looking at what the nearest site closest to you is doing. But yeah, that's where we encourage Aucklanders to start.
Just got a question for the Deputy Mayor, if that's all right. Obviously today, if you don't mind just standing in front of the podium, obviously today is about the clean-up, but I just want to touch on the fix-up, which the Mayor was talking about in his video briefing this morning. Just how big a job ahead do we have in terms of, I suppose, preparing Auckland's infrastructure for the next time we have an event like this?
I think it's considerable, but look, I will cover, the Mayor will cover the big fix-up a bit later. I didn't see his video this morning as yet, sorry, but we'll come back to you on the big fix-up.
I just want to ask, what's it going to mean for the Council's budget and for rates for Aucklanders potentially?
We're right in the middle of our annual plan preparations now. We'll have a consultation document ready soon to go out with Aucklanders, and it is being tweaked as we speak to include work around around the recovery, as is this budget for this current year that's currently in place now.
So we will see rates rises?
I'm not saying you'll see rates rises, but there is obviously a lot of work to do in that space.
Should there be a Royal Commission of Inquiry instead?
There is an inquiry in place at the moment that has been commissioned, and I absolutely fully support that. I think there will be an inquiry from central government too, as well, my understanding is. But look, everyone's under the pump when it comes to the inquiry. These sort of things always have learnings, and it's important to have that inquiry.
And do we have an estimate of how many people have been displaced as of today, and what additional support is being given to some of the emergency housing places like hotels?
Yes, so we don't, I think I have covered this previously, it's difficult to give an absolute number of people displaced from homes, and the reason for that is that a number of people will self-manage. So, they may have been displaced, but they will be staying with friends or whānau, or will have arranged through their insurance company alternative accommodation. A good indication of people that, have absolutely been displaced from homes is the red stickered properties. So those are properties that are not safe to be in. And then within those yellow stickered properties, there will be a combination of houses that are able to be used with some limitation or condition, and others that perhaps still need to be vacated temporarily while they do some of that clean up work. So it's difficult to give an absolute number, but we've made really good progress working with people that have been coming in through our centres needing that immediate temporary accommodation and finding alternative arrangements for them through various accommodation provision.
And is there any additional support for emergency housing?
Well, we're working closely with MSD and MB, and we also have Kāinga Ora working alongside our team to support their clients. As we work through this response, the immediate focus is always getting people into an immediate accommodation which is going to be safe and comfortable for them, and then there are longer term needs that will need to be met based on their circumstances, and those are the types of things that will be worked through by those central government agencies.
Obviously there are so many insurance claims being processed and people facing months, if not longer, of uncertainty. I mean, what is your message to people who have no idea basically if they're going to be able to return to their homes?
Yeah, I think that's a very hard situation for those people to be in, and I guess I just want to start by saying my thoughts are with people in that situation. The most important thing that they can do is get the best advice around first speaking to their insurance companies, getting the advice from the technical experts in relation to the particular issues that their properties have, and then working on what needs to be done from there. We have heard from Emma Kummick from our building consents team that we are standing up support by the way of making sure the process for any consenting needs for those sorts of immediate emergency remedial works is done as quickly as possible and prioritising people in that situation.
You mentioned people reaching out for help. For people who are struggling mentally at the moment and they're not used to reaching out for help and they feel quite lost and alone, what advice do you have for those people?
Well, there is a range of, and again, a really important matter to really recognise is that people will be struggling in different ways. From the uncertainty around sort of accommodation through to just, I guess, the potential trauma of being involved directly in the flood events on Friday and then perhaps on Tuesday, Wednesday morning. So there are a range of support organisations that are out there that specialise in providing mental health and wellbeing support, and we would really encourage people to reach out to those services. And I think, like Oliver and our Deputy Mayor Desley just talked about, really important to connect in with communities. If you're struggling and you need help, do get in touch. People might not be attuned to asking for help. It might not be something that they usually have to do, but there are lots of people here that really want to help. We just, we don't want anyone feeling like they can't come forward. There is help there for people if they need it.
For the Deputy Mayor, how does it feel to be given the job of leading the big clean-up, and do you think you're the right person for the job?
The Mayor in any way, that's my role, and I really want to help. It's been tough for a lot of people. In answer to your question, I think there's a free text to a trained counsellor available, 1737 I think that number is.
Yes.
And it's very traumatic. And the other thing that I'm very conscious of, especially in my community as well, is there are people that are not used to asking for help. And so, I'm very, very pleased to be part of this. I want Auckland to recover. I want people to feel that they are supported, and I want to get this right.
And do you have any plans, any specific plans for helping the hospitality sector, which has been quite affected by the floods?
There's plans to look at many different sectors. The poorer hospitality sector has been hit in so many different ways. If people can get out and about, I can just tell you of an event on Friday night in my own family. We're trying to find a booking and everything was full, so that's really nice to hear. But look, everyone's been hit. No one comes out of this flood really unscathed, and there are some communities more affected than others, I admit that, but we're all in this together. I know we can help and pull together, and if you can, in the hospitality situation, if you can afford to go out for dinner, now's a really good time to do that. Thank you.
Sorry, just quickly, just going back. Just waste piles on the side of the road, that was also mentioned earlier. We just passed several streets, there's like flies all over them, but there's actually a lot of people sorting through that material and trying to take some of it. What's kind of the advice there?
Yes, and I have provided some previous advice on this, and our advice is that people shouldn't be, should be avoiding doing that sort of recovery activity. Waste recovery is what we tend to call it, where people are looking to repurpose waste at curbside. The reason it's out there on the curb is because it has come into contact with floodwaters or is damaged in some way. And so, really strong advice there is that that shouldn't be used or taken off the streets. What we are trying to do though, as waste comes through our transfer stations, if there is the ability to repurpose or reuse that, then we will do that at those places, but we'll do it in a way that's safe and make sure that, you know, people are not putting themselves at risk.
Yeah, and also just for the people handling that as well and placing it out there, what is kind of the best, I guess, approach to that?
Yeah, so our advice to anyone that's removing flood affected materials from their homes is ideally to be wearing PPE, so, you know, gloves, you know, obviously just protective footwear, because you might be standing on nails and things like that and other things that could be dangerous, but, you know, definitely wearing gloves. And I think the most important thing, gloves, masks, but most importantly, when you finish that work, to really make sure that you are doing really good hand hygiene, washing yourself thoroughly. Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice pause there, so I think we'll take that as the